Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Glenda. Welcome to my live, my BizLay Thursday Q&As. I do these every first and third Thursday. Today is a special day. I had a series that I was doing on interviewing skills, but I interrupted that series because this topic is such a hot topic. I've been getting so many questions. I've been talking with a lot of you about this topic, and it's the topic of mandatory vaccinations as a condition of employment and coming back into the office for those who are working from home. And if you're concerned about coming back into the office full time, how do you have that conversation? So for those who don't know, I am a leadership strategist. My passion is leadership. I help people get paid their worth. And so I do that through specific skills and strategies that I teach, that I have employed in my own career. It's helped me skip levels in my career. And I always say, I want your coin to match your competency. And so I work with a lot of professional, high-performing people, and you guys are doing amazing. I've talked to a lot of you over the past few weeks, and you have been killing it during a pandemic, and that is so amazing to hear. And so my job isn't to teach professionalism, because you guys are already professionals. We're professionals, but my job is to help take what you already do well to the next level, to help you think more strategically about your career so you can meet your financial goals, your goals as far as work-life balance, and to have a role that's more fulfilling and more rewarding for you. So that's my job. My job is to sharpen what's already sharp in you and help you go to the next level. So today I'm going to get right to it because there's a lot to cover and I don't have a lot of time to do it, and I don't want to skimp on it because it's so important. So again, if you are working from home, know someone who's working from home. Maybe you have a spouse. Maybe you have friends, family members who are working from home, and your employer is now requiring that you come back into the office. I'm going to give you some strategies on how to have the conversation. But first of all, I want to recognize the humanity in this situation and in this issue. So we have dealt with a lot as professionals, right? We've had to balance bringing in a living, bringing in income for our households, and balancing that with a worldwide global pandemic that has claimed the lives of over 3 million people worldwide and over 500,000 people in America. So this is not a light issue. Many of you have lost loved ones. You've lost family members, friends, colleagues, business partners. Some of you have experienced COVID for yourself. Some of you were sick with COVID. Many of us have dealt with the strain, the emotional strain of hearing that our loved ones, our friends and families had diagnosed and were positive, have tested positive for COVID. And that's a strain because you care about your family members, right? And some of you have had negative financial impact as a result of COVID. So this is not a light situation, right? And your feelings and concerns, I want to recognize them today on this discussion and on this live to say that they are valid. If no one has told you that in your workplace, I'm telling you that as a leader, as an officer in my field, as a hiring manager, as a person, a human being, I'm telling you that your feelings and your concerns matter, okay? And they have a place. But for the purpose of this discussion, your emotions and your feelings have a supporting role to the main core lead. I call it like the supporting role to the lead main character, so to speak. And the main character is data. Data. Facts. Prudent leaders are trained to make decisions based off of, and we take into account feelings, but we're trained to make decisions based off of data, facts, right? So I am going to give you some 5 action steps that you need to take before you have the conversation with your employer. So if you're not comfortable going back into the office, what I would suggest you not do is say, I'm not comfortable just going back into the office, but I want to keep my job, right? Like, I would suggest you not do that, right? It's not enough to say, I don't feel comfortable, but I want to keep my job. So I'm going to give you 5 action steps that you can take, that I believe you should take to have a productive conversation with your employer to hopefully have a positive outcome. And this will definitely put you in a very good position to have the positive outcome that you're looking for, which I would think would be to, first of all, be safe and healthy and be in a work environment that's safe and healthy, and also not have your employment disrupted. Okay? Okay, so many of you, like I said, I've talked with so many of you, and many of you have concerns about going back into the office full time. You're saying to me, Glenda, I don't want to go back 5 days a week. I don't feel comfortable going back 5 days a week. Some of you have taken the vaccine and are comfortable taking the vaccine, but you're not comfortable working with people who haven't taken the vaccine. Some of you are not comfortable taking the vaccine because the vaccines are not FDA approved. They are what you call they are emergency use authorized vaccinations. They are not FDA approved. And so some of you have some concerns about that, which you're right to have those concerns, right? And some of you don't feel comfortable coming back unless you know that people are COVID free, meaning they have tested negative. So there's so many concerns that staff have, and valid concerns at that. And so again, I want to go over 5 action steps that you can take, that you should take before you have the conversation. And I will tell you, in my professional opinion, your first step shouldn't be to panic and think you have to just go look for another job. Okay? I don't think that should be your first step. But what your first step, I believe, should be is, again, talking about the data and the facts. So, Glenda, I don't feel comfortable going back into the office. Why? Why don't you feel comfortable going back into the office? It's not enough to tell your HR manager and your manager you don't feel comfortable. So what should you do? So research the COVID trends and talk about the trends. What are the COVID trends in your city, in your county, in your state, in the country? Talk about those COVID trends from a data and facts standpoint. That supports your feelings and your concerns about going back into the office, okay? So number 1 is talk about the facts about the trends, the COVID trends as far as cases in your area and in the country. So research that. So that's number 1. Number 2, for those of you who are concerned about the vaccines, speak to the facts of that. It's not enough, and I'm telling you as a hiring manager and as a leader, it's not enough to say, well, we just don't know enough about the vaccines. It's just too soon. You're right. It is too soon, but for the purposes of this conversation, that's not a lot. That's not enough, okay? So speak to the facts about the vaccines. Speak to the fact that, and honestly, this is the reason why federal and state governments right now, why you're not going to see this on the websites. This is the reason why you're not going to see vaccination mandates from a federal and state standpoint. And the reason for that is the vaccines are emergency use authorized. So what does that mean? What is emergency use authorized? We're in the middle of a crisis here. So basically we're getting as much data as we can to do the best we can to manage this crisis. But emergency use authorizations basically means these vaccines haven't gone through the rigorous testing and investigations and enough clinical trials to say that to have the FDA say, boom, this is safe. And so many of us are saying, you know what? I lost my loved ones. I lost friends. I'm not playing around. You know what? I know we're still developing the information and the data, but I'll take my chances. And that's completely fine. And you have that right. For those who are concerned about the fact that this is not FDA approved, these vaccinations, and they are under an emergency use authorization, speak to that fact. Okay? So number 1, speak to the trends. Number 2, speak to the fact of what these vaccinations are. And you may have ethical, psychological concerns, philosophical concerns, ethical concerns, and medical concerns as a result of this EUA. And those are valid concerns, especially from an ethical and a medical standpoint. So speak to that. So that's number 2, right? You guys are with me? Everybody's with me. Number one, speak to the trends. Number two, speak to the facts of this being an EUA, emergency use authorization vaccine, and not FDA approved. Number three,